Hey guys, this is John. Welcome to the free video, and let's take a look at a couple of things, well, two things that we did in the room today. So, Netflix. The markets, of course, today had a good day to the upside. My whole contention with this market is that if we are going to be in a stock long, it had better be a stock that doesn't care about the market. So you can see it did go down yesterday, but it held that 8 EMA. And then if we look at today's action in Netflix, what I was looking at was the 78-minute squeeze. And then as that was developing, looking to see if this thing could break out to new highs and go to about $633. So we did have a good run with that and got a combination of some calls that expire next week. So on something like this here, that even though the idea is to only hold this trade for a day, so we got the in the money calls that expire in 9 days for 15 bucks, had a good rally into the close and some decent profits. The idea though is what we're looking for is a move to either $633, which at this point is $4 away, or a loss of momentum in the 78-minute squeeze, whichever comes first. So at this point, I anticipate that we'd get out of this tomorrow, and if it does hit 633, I would start selling the position. But the momentum may carry, and the 78-minute squeeze may not lose momentum for a couple days, and that's why I wanted to go out to next week. So we have the luxury of choice that if we wanted to hold it into Friday, we could, or even a portion of it over the weekend that we could. But the plan is just to kind of get in, get out, and take that trade. The other trade we did here, well, AMBO was a good one. This was a shorter term. Again, we went out 9 days. We closed out our debit spread today from the silver portfolio, which was awesome. A nice max profit there, or close to max profit. But again, just kind of looking for this stock for its momentum to carry. And now, even though we're only doing it for 1 or 2 days, we went into next week's options because that week there is earnings. And guess what? If you own options in the week that they're releasing earnings, you're not going to get theta decay because the implied volatility will continue to increase to keep that premium in check. Okay, so you have directional risk but not premium risk, and that's always kind of fun. And then last but not least, PANW. You'll see that this is kind of an unusually structured trade. And on this one, you can see this was an earnings trade. So the 160-155 put spread, okay? And then we bought some 149 puts, and then you'll notice that we bought some stock after hours. I was actually trying to buy more. All right, so what is the purpose of this trade? So if you look at this, you'll notice that there was a spike down after hours on the earnings front. And I did get filled on 200 shares at 156.54 on that spike. I actually wanted to get 1,000 shares, and that's why I bought the 10 of those 149 puts, right, to offset that in case it kept going lower. But at this point, I was only filled on 200 shares. But anyway, that's kind of an earnings play where you combine selling premium, buying protection, and trying to buy stock after hours, which is a lot of fun. And last but not least, what about the markets? Well, the markets actually had a great rally today, but the transportation sector is still extremely unhealthy. All it's doing at this point is rallying back to its 8 EMA. And as long as it's trading below that, and especially as long as it's trading below its breakdown point, to me, this sector is very bearish, and it just means that we have to be cautious about the markets. If we're going to be long, it's going to be unique situations like Netflix and AMBA that don't really care about what the rest of the market's doing, but we want to be conscious that this market could roll over at any time and setting up bearish positions as well. All right, hope that helps, and we will see you on the next update. Okay, and last but not least, one thing I wanted to give you guys a heads up on. Me, I'm going to be doing a class on Saturday, June 6th from 2 to 6 o'clock East Coast time. So that's not this Saturday, but the next Saturday. And the short version of it is this. So I did I'm doing a webinar tonight on it, and so this is kind of the short version. You guys will hear more about it. But the first 6-figure trade I ever made was in a stock called iOmega, and I actually had a specific strategy for finding it. And this was like when I was a senior in college. This was back like in 1995. And after I took that trade, because my broker advised against it, I mean, all these people were like, "Are you crazy?" And I was just like, wow. And I just got to thinking, was that luck or was what happened there? And over the years and literally the decades, as I've learned and I kept trying and honing this, the stuff that I learned about was very, very surprising. And what I did, and I got completely lucky on, was I got into a stock right before the big hedge funds did, okay? And since that time, I've figured out what are the criteria that they're looking for so we can actually get into that stock and ride the wave up. So this is what I'm going to be talking about on Saturday, okay? The Saturday class, if you scroll down here, and you guys can read these bullet points, it's $297. Very, very reasonable to essentially learn the criteria to find these kind of set it and forget it type stocks that the hedge funds are going to get ready to potentially blow out of the water. Okay. And then there'll be a live trading portion that's going to focus more on, how do you manage that trade when it gets to $100? Or let's say you didn't get in at $5 and now it's 100. How do you still continue to trade that stock? And that'll be a combination of strategies using the stock and options that you can use in more of your everyday kind of a stuff. There's also some bonuses in terms of scanners that we're going to be using and different things like that. And again, we'll update you this as you go. I know some of you have been asking me about this class. It's like, look, just tell me when it is. I want to sign up. And this one is going to be a game changer in terms of how it works for the stock market. Okay, so again, just for the dates, the Saturday class, which is just $297, is going to be on June 6th, and then the live trading will be June 9th, 11th, and 12th during market hours. All right, simplerstocks.com/blueprint. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you at the next update.